Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's Matt Cook with Jonathan Green. If you may have heard of me, I was interviewed on ABC News. I have over 700,000 subscribers. I'm a relationship, sex, health coach. And Jonathan Green was probably the most famous dating coach in the world for a number of years. And then he did something that most people never do. He met somebody, retired to a remote tropical island with his new family, and we've been here dispensing really terrible advice and being entertaining, hopefully. And I'm glad you're here. So let's get to the first question that we came in. And these are questions that are either online or some that we found or some people that have sent me questions, which I anonymize. So if you do send me a question, you can go to getrapidhelp.com, ask Matt, and just fill in whatever you want, and I'll always maintain your privacy. And we'll get your question answered here on the next episode of Men's Mayhem. Jonathan, do you have a question that I might be able to start answering?
We've got a bunch. We've got a really good bunch of, and it's in the same vein. They're all a similar problem, which is my
Yeah.
wife wants to be with other women. So my wife said to me, it says, "Hey, what would you think if I sleep with other women again?" So she says, some of the older guys at work say that when their wives get drunk, they bring home a woman, and sometimes they join, and sometimes they just watch their wife for another woman, and they're not jealous.
Okay, so the
You know,
wife gets bored. Of course, she does the normal thing that bored women do. She'll bring another woman home to have physical
yeah.
relations with. I
hmm
see.
And
Huh.
she's done
That
it
doesn't
in the
sound like
past.
something that I know women normally do in my world. I don't know. It's a strange
You
world.
But you know what? This question comes in every single week. We
It
have
does. It does. The
versions of it.
open
It's
relationship
so
thing.
common. Well, this isn't the open relationship, right? This
Okay.
is the
Right.
wife brings a woman home. The guy certainly she didn't say, "Do you want to?" And if you want to bring a guy home, you can do that. She didn't say that.
Yeah.
Mm, my wife has been with women in the past. She dated women in high school, and this is
Okay.
what's
So
always
she's
interesting.
okay. What's interesting?
She says that she's messed around with some of her friends, like kissing or
Yeah.
sleeping with her friends. Like guys don't
Right.
do that. It's not very
No.
common for two buddies to hook up one time and it's no big deal and never mention it again. Like that's not how guys are.
From what I understand, a lot of guys do sort of some of that mutual wanking, if you want to call it that. I mean, I don't think it's that uncommon, actually. A little
Well, wait.
different than
When you say mutual, do you mean I touch yours or I touch
maybe
mine and I'm
just
gay?
doing it each other's at the same time. Maybe more like just buddies getting together and
And like making eye contact?
self pleasuring. Not necessarily, but I don't
I
know. I read about this, so I think it's probably more
and
common
th-
than I think.
I mean, I like to think that I've had a lot of experiences and been around for a while, but that is not something that I've ever.
Well, I've never been terribly interested in it, but I can tell you that when I've talked to our guys, I have had 60,000, 70,000 subscribers that go through our different protocols over the years, and more all the time. And a good number of men do have a guy on the side. It's just the weirdest thing. It's not that rare at all.
Okay,
Um,
you're
but
probably
they
right.
don't necessarily. Yeah, but do you think that women are more likely to appreciate other women sexually than men are to appreciate other men sexually? Because I do. I think women are
Oh
much
yeah.
more.
So I
Yeah,
think the bisexual thing is way more common for women. I think
yeah.
if you look at like the percentage of men who are straight, gay, bisexual, that bisexual percentages, I feel like a lot. I think I've only ever known one bisexual guy, and I've known a lot of gay guys and a lot of straight guys. And it's very rare that you have the guy who's on the bridge. Usually people choose
Do
within
you
a
really
lot of.
think that those nomenclatures still make any sense anymore? Like I could see, like, if I had, God forbid, had to go into prison, I might want to have sex with another guy just to have somebody, you know, because like I don't want to just be by myself. I
Well,
don't
now you're
know,
going down a
just
rabbit hole, but most people say prison doesn't count.
okay. So it's all contextual, isn't it? Kind of depends on the situation a little bit.
I
Um,
mean, I don't know. I don't know.
it has to.
Because I haven't been to prison. I don't know if everyone in prison that happens to them or just some. I have no idea, and they don't talk about it because I've definitely asked my
No,
friend who did time, and he would not talk about it. It's like he's the one thing
no,
that people don't want to talk about. But
yeah,
I think that so basically what he said. This guy is like, listen, if she's saying I'm going to bring a woman home and we're going to do a threesome, that's one thing. But she's like, I'm going to
yeah.
bring a woman home and I'll be in one room,
Oh,
and he's like, and I'll be in the other room, like.
Oh, is
I'll
he
be honest, that
watching or
also
is he not able to watch or just listen or what are the rules here?
sounds like he's in another room.
What's the point? That's so
Yeah,
weird.
so like
That's
so
so
it
weird. I
starts off
can't even
kind of
imagine this
because
world.
that's not what the first of all, here's the thing I'm more interested in, and this is me, is why is she talking to
Hmm.
the older
Hmm.
guys at work about
Hmm.
threesomes?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Why is
a
she indeed?
weird work conversation that's
Yeah,
already very
probably
strange.
not appropriate, honestly, for work. Really, I mean,
Probably. But
maybe at lunch if you take someone out to lunch and you're not on the
no,
work premises, it's okay.
I don't think so. I don't think you can. I'm
I
pretty
don't
sure
either.
I'm not an expert in HR, but I feel like you can't just be like,
I'm just
because
trying
it.
to, help out here. It's like,
Okay, well, look, here's the thing. Let me tell you what I think. When you are talking to a woman, you say, "Oh, sometimes my wife and I we have threesomes." You're
hmm,
pinging.
yeah,
The reason you're saying that is to see her response, to see if she's
hmm,
open to being one of those other women.
yeah. You're not
Now,
inviting her, right? You're just saying, well, we do that, and then you're like waiting, like,
you're throwing that
any
piece of
interest?
bread in the water to see if the fish gets
Yeah,
near it.
yeah,
Because it
exactly.
also says, "Oh, me and my wife have had a rough patch for the past 2 years.
So
We
we're
haven't."
bringing home random women from work, and I mean,
That will solve the
someone,
problem.
you know, yeah,
So
you
I
might
think
qualify.
there's. Here's what I think. I think that people try to solve problems with the wrong solution. There's one thing if you have a great sex life and you're like, hey, let's add something in, kind of mess around. That's like that's one direction.
I
But if
think
you're
it's
saying,
the other side. I think it's much more often we're bored. What do
I
we do
know,
to make
I
things
think that
interesting
when you go,
again?
oh, this will save our marriage, I don't think it ever does. Right? I
Yeah,
think those are two separate categories, which are two separate discussions. The idea
I
of,
think so too.
hey, we're having a rough patch. You know what will solve that is because it's always get a dog, get a baby, and now get a, I don't know what the right word is, triangle girl or truple or thruple or threesome girl.
Yeah,
It's,
mix things up a little bit.
I'll tell you this, no threesome in reality is ever as good as the fantasy. I'll tell you that right now.
Well,
It's
you say
never.
that, but then everybody says, "Yeah, but I'd like to see what it's like to see if I can
I
make up
know.
my own
I'm just
mind about
telling
that."
you
Yeah,
that
yeah, I
the
believe you.
the appeal, I'll tell you right now exactly why. You always end up liking one of them more than the other one, and you
And
kind
then
of,
there's jealousy about that, right? I mean,
no,
it's like the whole thing is fraught with
Josh,
issues.
you listen, you want to end a marriage? Make eye contact with the other woman as you both finish at the same time. Your marriage
Yeah,
is immediately over. There's a
yeah.
bunch, and everyone has different rules. So there's a really complicated set of rules for what you're allowed to
You
do and
probably
not.
don't know what the rules are until you run into one of these situations because people say one thing, but in a given situation, they're going to feel very differently. They
Oh
didn't
yeah,
think they would, but they really care a lot, and they didn't
and
think they did, right?
there's a ton of stuff. It's a tricky minefield that has a lot of risk, and I feel, here's my feeling for this particular situation, it will end. The marriage is already in trouble. This will end it.
Yeah,
It's
I
not.
agree. Well, I think it's a shame that people are bored with each other because if they practice sex the right way, there's these two programs that we have in our brains. And one program is all around new women, dopamine, new things all the time, never happy, never satisfied. The other track is what I call the oxytocin track, where we create the hormone oxytocin, which promotes this feeling of love and connection and limitless desire for somebody. And that's so much better. And when you do that, every time you do it, it's like amazing. Like you can't even believe how wonderful it is, the act itself. And you want to be with each other all the time. And it's just the secret of being really, really happy with each other. It's like this. Do you like ice cream?
Sure.
Well, you have ice cream, like let's say you have it every night after you eat dinner, you have a bowl of ice cream, right?
Yeah, it's not.
Do you ever really say, I don't like ice cream anymore? This is
So
no
now you're
good.
saying you need two flavors. See, that's the pitch. That's
Well,
the
no, I don't.
pitch
I
for
don't say
you.
that. I say that I can eat the same ice cream every day. I'm happy having it for dessert. I really like it, and I don't need more things. I don't really like other flavors. I like that ice cream. I don't
That's
get
funny.
tired of it at all. That's what I'm saying.
That's usually the pitch guys do when they're convincing their wives that they need to open up the
Hmm.
marriage, which is, hey, do you want me
Hmm.
to eat steak for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day? I'll have a heart attack. You're trying to kill me? That's why I need another woman. That's the pitch.
Yeah.
What I'm more interested in here, I want to dial into this part, which is what I think is the most interesting part. He goes, we have a 2-year-old daughter. We've been in a rough patch since the birth because there were complications, and we haven't had much sex in that time. We just
Right.
recently started getting back on track.
No, that's
I want to
terrible.
dial
2
in.
years is a long time.
That's what I
Long
want to
time.
dial into. To me, there's unless the wife was in the hospital for 6 months, right? That's
Yeah.
the complication. That,
Right.
but it doesn't sound like that. It sounds like
Relationships don't work well without constant physical activities together, like every day, every other day,
you start to.
really almost daily. Otherwise, they sort of fall apart romantically.
It's interesting how you can kind of like if you miss a day at the gym, then you miss 2 days, then you miss 3 days. It seems like that's what
Hmm.
happens with the bedroom stuff. And
Uh-huh.
like 2 years without sleeping together, you're roommates.
Yeah.
You're
No, I
neighbors.
could. I mean, it's well. So yeah, I mean, we're not designed for that. We're not designed for that.
It's like people. I mean, at least he only
I think
waited.
twice a day is good. By the way, I don't think twice a day with somebody is really good.
You're a maniac. It's just like
Once every 2 years, not so good.
no. There's. I love that those are the two choices. You have two options.
Too ex-
Two absolute extremes. But that's. But the thing is, again, people.
You'd
He
rather be my extreme than the other extreme, right? Do you have
I
to
think
agree with me
those are
there?
the two choices.
Definitely.
Yes, here's what I'm
Yes.
thinking is that she has probably sent other signals that we need to fix this, right?
Yeah.
So she's saying, "Hey, we have a problem in the bedroom," and they're like haven't dealt with it. So the longer you deal with it, the worse it gets. And he's kind of been
A
like, "Oh,
baby's a really easy way of avoiding it because you're so focused. You're both focused on this baby now all of a sudden, so you can avoid, working
right."
things out with each other.
You
And
still
2 years go by before you realize it.
no, that's so long. That's just like I don't believe.
Oh
Having
yeah,
had
of course
four
it
kids,
is.
listen, 6 weeks. I've done 6 weeks without it many times. Okay, you
Hmm.
can't have. You're not supposed to do anything after a birth for 6 weeks. That's what the doctor
No, I
said.
didn't. I don't think we waited 6 weeks. I don't
Yeah.
remember waiting that long.
Again, you're a maniac. I'm just telling you
Hmm.
that the doctor. First thing I say to the doctor, like, how long do I have to wait? And the doctor's like, don't touch her for 6 weeks. With the last birth, it was a little bit longer because there were
I see.
complications, but it was
I
like
see. Okay. So
May.
you
It
might
was
have to do 6 weeks for that kind of reason.
for a no.
Okay.
I'm
But
talking.
2 years is something is
Oh,
very wrong. 2
the
years.
recommended from a doctor is 6 weeks. If there's complications, it might be 3 months. Like if there's a lot of stitches or a C-section like that, but they're not going to say 2 years. The doctor told us we have to wait 2 to 3 years to have another kid because of the
Hmm.
complications, which is a different thing.
Hmm.
We certainly didn't wait 2 to 3 years to play with each other, but I think that's the
Yeah, you
thing.
could do a lot of things without doing intercourse. So, if you really
I
want to
just feel like
play
people
around.
think, oh, it's just because of the baby, and it's not. There's something else going on, and the marriage has been slipping for 2 years, and you need to focus on
The
that.
baby is a great excuse to focus on something other than the marriage. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I've got another one.
There's actually there's a paper about fatherhood and focus. Sexual activity can wait. New fathers' experience about sexual life after childbirth. I have not read this study. I believe it's done with surveys, but there's a lot of things that people can do other than intercourse, and you just have to keep the physical relationship alive at all times. Naked cuddling, just doing that is really great, as opposed to doing nothing. It's super
Well,
important to us as human beings.
all right, let me ask you a question. What about doing stuff that's naked and non-sexual, like taking a bath together, going skinny dipping, watching a
Well,
movie
those are
naked?
those are great. Those are great. Yeah,
Okay.
all that is just fantastic, and especially skin on skin contact without sex necessarily. Cuddling or watching a movie together, whatever it is. That's really so much better than doing nothing.
You're so funny. If
If
I'm
you're
watching a movie
together
naked with my
physically.
wife, I'm putting a row of pillows between us. I'm putting a barrier to stop her from coming across. That's your side of the bed. Stay over there.
Yeah, well, we have done both ways. We've done it where we would all snuggle up and watch TV together, and then we've done it where we were on separate parts of the separate chairs because they're more comfortable. And it's better when you're like right together. Um, yeah, this is a big deal. So I have a one that came in, and the
Okay.
question here is, what if somebody you're dating or want to build your life with, or someone you're married to already, what if they turn out to be not as they've presented themselves? In other words, they've lied about who they are. So 5 years ago, I began dating her. She presented herself as a sweet and loyal human being. And one of her goals was having her own business. And I own a business. So we married 2 years ago,
Okay.
and I thought I had a 1-year-old son. Over the past couple of months, she got more secretive, and I told her she can tell me anything. She gets rude, upset, saying it's none of my business. Over the past 2 weeks, she's more sullen, won't talk to me. I don't know what I did. Okay. Then I went to her phone. There were nudes sent, and she was being flirty. They both talked shit about me and made fun of my appearance. Her affair partner said he may have an STD and want her to get checked. We had sex often, so I'm now worried about that. The most heartbreaking thing is when he broke off the affair, she asked, "What do we do about our baby then?" So my son isn't really my son. I confront her about everything, and she puts on crocodile tears. I'm starting a divorce, but she's begging me to stay, and even blocked away when I tried to leave a few times. What do I do at this point?
So you have a lot of
Everything
moving.
about his life was a lie. His wife doesn't love him, and his son isn't his. Well, a son not being yours, genetically maybe not, but there's still a little 1-year-old that
Yeah, but she's got the other guy
somebody.
secretly raising the kid too. There's other stuff going on. One
Yeah,
years old, you can you're like,
exactly.
you need to get out of this relationship. So this person,
Clearly,
um,
clearly.
you have a, at least you found out now. I would get out. And I listen, here's what I hear. When I hear the woman is blocking the door, what she's doing is setting a legal trap. So if you push her or try and leave and you touch her, then she can then call the police and your life is ruined. So whenever you have someone who starts to set that trap, you have to never be in their presence again. You have a whole different ball game because there's a move,
Oh,
which is if she can accuse you of touching her and they go say, "Well,
mm-hmm,
did you touch her?" Well, I was trying to leave. It doesn't matter. As far as the
mm-hmm.
police are concerned, if you push a woman out of the way to leave, you're the criminal. It doesn't matter if she's attacking you,
Right.
whatever. So that's a trap. I know because I've been in that situation before. I was like, I'm leaving out the other door. I don't want to
Oh,
be.
wow. Because it's like a battery otherwise.
You, yeah, you want
And
to
you're
see.
this big
Yeah.
guy and she's this little woman. She's going to get all their sympathy, obviously.
Well, not only that, it changes everything because now when you go to court, she gets a restraining order. Then you go for the divorce, and now you're saying she cheated me. Like, yeah, but he hit me. You see it all the time
Yeah, right.
when divorces get acrimonious. And I listen. The problem with this is that when people actually do it, it doesn't get believed as much because people fake it, and that's not cool. So actually doing it is horrible. But you have to protect yourself, as in keep a lot of space. You have to collect the evidence. You have to get out of the situation. You have to show all of this stuff. You have to get your name off that birth certificate. I mean, if you want to get out of this situation, because,
Oh, you
and
could go to court and get your name taken off the birth certificate because you're not the father.
I don't know, as
Yeah.
far as I know, is the court basically the parental stuff is so skewed in America that you can pay child support and they don't do a DNA test. You could say it's not my kid. They go, yeah, but she says it is, so you have to do it, even without signing the birth certificate. I know people that have gone to jail for years for not paying child support for a kid from a woman they'd never met. So it's really the court is that there's no burden of proof to
Well,
prove.
apparently there is a process in each state for removing a non-biological father from the. There's a vital records department you can talk to, and you might have to hire a
It's
lawyer, but it's done
yeah,
all the time.
yeah. Well, it's a whole tough situation, but that's what I mean. The only thing that can make it, the thing that worries me is once someone starts getting physical, all of that stuff, you
Right.
need to get space. You need to make sure that you have distance. You need to record all your conversations. If you want to get out of a marriage with someone who's this sinister,
Psychopath. She's a psychopath. I don't know what that means exactly. She's
I
somebody
don't really
able
know.
to
I
maintain
never know
a
the
double
difference.
life.
Yeah. Basically, this is someone who I actually think this is very common, which is a lot of women. I bet this guy is mid to late 30s, and the woman is as well. I have such a
Let's
high
see.
feel. I bet she's
Well,
between
they're in
30.
their late 20s, actually. They're in their late 20s.
So it's very common for women to party it up in their 20s and realize, oh, that type of guy won't marry them, right? They're chasing that type of guy,
Right.
the big money, the party
Right.
guy. So then they marry the guy the loser from high school who's always been pining after them, and they still have the baby with the first guy, but make the second guy raise them. It's very common.
Yeah,
I
that's where the
think,
word cuckold comes from.
yeah, well, this guy
Cuckoo,
is,
from the cuckoo bird, which lays its egg in another species of bird's nest, and then the mother raises that cuckoo's egg as her
yeah,
own.
and she's in on it. So, I mean, she's a horrible person, and you need to get out. There's
Yeah.
no upside to the relationship. And
Well, he knows that. He's just trying to get out of it. But your point about not falling into this battery trap, that's a very good point. And this is a very, very bad situation. And
yeah,
it's a terrible thing because how can somebody trust easily again if they've
no,
been so deceived once? You know, that's got to be
listen,
rough, man.
and that's why you know how I feel about marriage. It's like this guy.
And yet here you are.
Well, I got married under different countries' laws and have a very specific prenup and a whole bunch of stuff in place. I would never get married in America. I'm not an idiot.
You have the funniest wedding picture. I love that picture.
So, here's one that's on the same path. We have a bunch of people asking about threesome questions, but we'll save one of those up. I've got one here that
I have
says
some that aren't freedom questions if we need them. So, okay.
just not interested in those. Okay, so been with been with my wife for 5 years, and basically, my wife told me that her body count was 12. I was like, wow, I thought it would be a lot higher, right? And then
I think
so
12's a
later on,
lot.
basically, I just I think that the whole thing is that his her body count is just higher than he said.
Okay. Did she deceive him about it? Is that the story? That he said one thing and it turns out
Yeah,
to
I
be
asked her about her
different?
body count as casually as possible,
Okay.
and then but she admitted her number was more than 100. So he thought it was 12, found out it's 100. But and he's like, "Well, now I'm going to divorce her because she lied to me a couple of years ago." Why would you? This is just like, don't ask a question
Well,
you don't know the answer
I
to.
don't really want to know. Once I'm married to somebody, I don't want to hear about her exes and her previous experience, unless I really want to know for fun.
How's that fun?
Probably isn't something. It's not fun. I mean, if I wanted to talk about a previous sexual act or something, that might be one
No,
thing. But
that's what I mean is that
but I don't want to know those details. Really, it's
there's
like,
no scenario. This is something that's really prevalent that a
yeah,
lot of like magazines I read in the 90s that had dating advice.
right,
The badge of advice was so bad. Like in Stuff and Maxim, they were like
yes,
all the advice they had about dating was basically 180 degrees completely wrong, and it was all about
right. Well,
stuff.
it's probably written by women.
No, it was written by like women or loser dudes, I don't know, or guys who were just
Yeah,
lying. And it was like,
right.
okay, so you'd be like, hey, what's something your ex-boyfriend did that you really liked? So I'll do that too. And it's like, ugh,
hmm
what a stupid question. I'm not interested in that.
hmm
Like that's a path you don't want to go down. Or
Right. Well, that's an example.
what's the
Yeah.
biggest one you've ever been with? All of these things. Like that's the way you'd bring up, oh, who's an ex so that you can all this stuff. But this guy got her drunk so he could ask her questions, and then he's like, if she's that manipulative, what else? To me, this isn't that big of a deal.
No. Anyway, 12 is to me a little higher than average, but it's not 200.
Well, it's one. Our
So
total's 100, but also it's like you. This is
what's
not
100?
her body count is 100, so he thought it was
Oh,
12.
it turns out it's actually 100. Okay, well that's a lot.
Now he's like,
But
oh,
they're
I don't.
married now. Like that's in the past. Should never even
Yeah,
asked about that.
there's
Like
a
you said.
huge. So to me, there's a huge difference between what happened before we met and what happened after we met. And not all this.
Yeah.
And he's like, now I got to DNA
Yeah.
test my kid because my wife is dirt. And it's like, there's a big difference between
Well,
dirty and cheater. They're not the same thing.
yeah, that's right. Exactly. Exactly. People have a period in their lives where they're sleeping with lots of guys, especially these days, and then they sort of straighten out and they've done that and they moved on. That's understandable to some degree.
And he's just
I don't
really
like it. I don't like it,
he's
but
built
it's
this lie up
understandable.
to be. It's not that big of a lie. Everyone lies. Here's a secret.
Everyone
Every
lies.
every guy triples their number, and every woman divides by 3. She did a
hmm
little more. She did it twice. She divided by 9. So, I got another one that's like that. I think you're gonna like. Am I overreacting when I found out my girlfriend had trains run on her and she slept with a couple of her friends? So, are you
Is it
familiar
a
with this term?
train? Is a sequential sex with different men and in one episode? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I love how you describe it. Yeah, they stand in a line, I guess, and it's like, okay, I'm
That's what
done.
I'm thinking. Yeah. Well, okay.
It's like I'm the engine. I'll be the caboose. I'll be last. I'll go
Okay.
after you guys finish in there.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
he's like, this is
So
different.
what's the? And then she slept with some of her female friends or male friend or what was that?
Male friends, and so
Male
basically she
friends.
said,
Okay.
that she slept with some of her girlfriends as experiments, and she said that I don't know, but all of it's before they met.
Yeah. You know what? Here's a secret to this thing, right? Don't ever tell the truth when you're asked a question like this.
Why would you ever
Just
say, "Oh yeah,
stick to the lie.
I once did a train"? That's a hell of a thing to admit. Yeah, keep
That's
your
a hell of
mouth.
a thing. Just don't
Keep
ever say it.
also
Yeah,
don't
it's just like,
kind of like I don't
yeah.
maybe don't do it. Like that's a bit like that's one
Don't
of the
do it is fine, but if you did it, don't talk about it. That's all. Simple. It didn't happen if you don't talk about it, because who's going to ever know?
here's the thing. If I say to you, "Oh, I participated in a train one time," what's the first question you want to ask me?
When?
How many cars were in the train? Right?
Okay. Well, I'd like to know when. Is
It's
it
even
yesterday or is it 10 years ago? I mean, that makes all the difference, really.
but it leads to the next question's even worse, right? What's the right number of cars in the train? If she goes, there were 112 cars, you're gonna, right? So the follow-up question, which you shouldn't ask that either, right? Her body count. It only leads to like worse questions. It's
Yeah,
really
don't
hard.
ever ask questions. You can't unask. You can't unknow the answer. Once
Yeah.
you hear it, you can't unhear it. So just remember that.
Just like don't do a train though. Come on. I hate like I'm not a prude, but like three people is the max, or maybe two girls, two guys, but like not one girl, seven guys. You know, like what the?
Mhm.
What? Let's go to
I
another.
think it's a woman that is looking for approval from men in a certain way. It's a certain. I think it shows a certain issue, a sort of psychological issue of needing approval so much that you'll do anything to get approval. You know what looks like approval to you from other men, which I think
I
is
don't. Yeah, I mean,
a red flag for a
I've known a few
relationship.
girls whose body count was over 1,000, but I've never known a train girl, so I don't
Yeah.
know.
Not that they would tell you. Maybe they were smart and they didn't tell you. So
I don't
this
think
is a
you say
woman.
my
She
body
says,
count is
"I don't."
1,000 and then don't mention the train. Like, come on, what?
Well, so she says this. She says, "I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get what I want sexually. I'm not happy. We've been together for 2.5 years. I'm not sexually satisfied by my boyfriend. When we were friends with benefits, sex was good but infrequent. Now it's about once every 2 weeks, and I want it a couple of times a week. He had performance issues, which caused anxiety. I tried to be understanding, but it's been difficult. It's often brief, and I can't. The sex is brief. I can't remember the last time I had an orgasm. I feel frustrated and depressed. I don't know how to talk to him without hurting his feelings or damaging our relationship. So here's my question: how do I talk to him about my needs, and how do I work together to improve our sexual relationship?
So
So
she was.
I'm
How
going to
do you,
just. Mhm.
I want to ask you a question. How are you friends with benefits with someone who can't do the benefits? Like that always throws me off. That's what's
Well,
confusing
no,
about
I
this.
mean, she said he had performance issues at times, which caused anxiety and less frequent sex, but it's not like completely not working. He's just had some
Yeah, but if you're
episodes,
friends
apparently.
with benefits and half the time you can't perform, it's like the whole point of the benefits is the benefits, right? It's confusing.
Well, I'm assuming, but here's my point is, she
Okay.
says we have sex once every 2 weeks. I want it a
Right.
couple times a week. I remember having a girlfriend, and we talked about how often would you want to have sex, and she said once or twice a day. And I thought, oh, that's a lot. And now I agree with her. But a couple times a week is not even that much, really not even enough to me. But they're only doing it every 2 weeks. That is a
Right.
huge red flag.
That's a big schedule. 26 times a year. When you think about it that way, it's like,
Not much.
um, you know, there's a lot of moving parts here. It's always interesting
How do
when
you talk to somebody? How does a woman tell a man that she's not happy with his sex and she wants to change it? How does she tell him that without hurting his
just
feelings and ruining the relationship? That's her question.
just say,
What do you
listen, I
think?
want you to bang me more.
Hmm.
Say it like that. When you say it like that, it's like, I really like you and I want you to do me more. It's like not a bad, that's the way to say
Hmm.
it because it doesn't have a negative connotation. There's two pieces here, right? That I want more frequency and I want better quality. I would first do the frequency thing because then that solves half the problem, right? Let's say, listen, once every 2 weeks doesn't work for me, right? That's a friends with benefits thing. We're supposed to be
Does she
boyfriend.
do this over the cereal in the morning? Like she's pouring the milk in her cereal and she says, honey, let's see, let's call him Travis. Travis, we need to have sex twice a week, not once every 2 weeks, okay? And then
Yeah.
takes her cereal, her
Yeah.
Cheerios. Is that what it is, or is it over
Yes.
in the bedroom? Yeah. Okay. So
Here's
I do have a thought that you should never have bad discussions in the bedroom. The bedroom should be anchored only with good things. So if you have something that you're going to talk about, like you're unhappy with your sex life, don't talk about it in bed. Talk about it over
Yeah,
your
well,
cereal. I
why
agree
would
with that.
I don't want her to wait 2 weeks to bring it up.
No.
So here's the thing. You can just Here's my understanding, and I thought this is how it works. If you're a woman, you just walk into the room naked. Isn't that like all you have to do to initiate? Like when the guy will just want to most of the time.
Well, she could just reach over, and start rubbing him, and he'll get turned on. I mean, it doesn't even, she doesn't even have to have her clothes off. It's not that difficult for men. We
I
get
think
aroused very
that's what I
easily.
wonder is maybe she never initiates. So
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Is like
exactly.
just it
Women
might
never initiate. The big complaint I
Right.
get is like, oh, she never initiates. I say, yeah, don't expect her to initiate. That's, you know,
I would.
I think that men's job is to initiate because women don't generally initiate. Just don't.
I wish I had that kind of life. My wife initiates like so many times a day.
It's rare. And I think it's because your wife is quite young. But as she gets, well, I'm not going to say about her, but as a woman gets older, generally she'll be less sexually interested.
One can only
I
hope.
appreciate the fact that this woman who's writing in, I appreciate that she is very concerned about this. You want your sex life to be really, really good. There's no reason why it can't be fantastic. And I'll also say another thing about sex. And when you have needs like this, I think words are very, a bad way of going when it comes to sex. The fewer words, the better. So, sometimes you do have to talk about things, but really as little talk as possible is best. What I would do if I were her, I would say, honey, let's have sex next week. How's Tuesday and Friday morning for you? How's that work for you? And then we would get our calendars together and we'd make sure we have an hour or two for those times. And I'm completely serious, Jonathan. Completely serious.
Oh, I know.
Scheduling is a very, very helpful thing here. It's very helpful when you have a problem like this. It's totally fine. And I know people say to me, Matt, there's no spontaneity. It's not, well, you know what? It's fine because at least you know that that's when you're going to have sex. So you can get mentally excited and yeah.
Spontaneity.
So to me, the solution is when she's in having breakfast and she's got her milk being poured in the cereal, and she can just say, honey, can you get your calendar? Let's come up with 2 different times we're going to have sex next week.
Mm-hmm.
And just work week to week, and then pretty soon it'll become a habit, and you'll be at twice a week. And then maybe you do 3 times a week or 4 times a week. Schedule it. Really. Life-changing. Scheduling sex. Life-changing.
If my wife would only stick to the schedule. She's always trying to do it more frequently. If I could get her to limit herself to a schedule, I would go for that. Here's one that's kind of interesting. My boyfriend swears he's only physically attracted to his coworker, but it's so obvious he's falling for her. What do you think? I love that that's I'm only physically attracted to her. Like, that's your starting point? I'm not in love with her. I just want to sleep with her. Like, so.
Well, aren't we physically attracted to lots of people? I mean, doesn't mean we act on it.
Yeah,
I mean, there's some very pretty women around, It's like, yeah, I'm physically attracted to beautiful women on the beach that are in bikinis.
Well,
it
this is
doesn't
different.
mean...
So they're coworkers. Every time they talk, he gets nervous, he fidgets, his voice gets higher. Oh my gosh!
Okay. You know what the solution is? He should transfer to a different department.
Yeah. So
if he wants to keep his relationship, he should move away from that woman and not be tempted and not be talking to her every day.
Yeah.
It's just asking for trouble.
To say to your girlfriend, "Oh, I'm just physically attracted to her." I don't sleep next to a grenade. Probably nothing's going to happen, but why would you put yourself into a dangerous situation, right?
Well, something is going to happen. If he continues and he's feeling nervous and everything, obviously he's thinking about sex with her all the time. He's with her, so...
Even if nothing ever happens, you still have the impact is so big, even a low risk. Yeah. It's like, don't sleep next to a grenade.
Yeah, you go home to his girlfriend and he's thinking about that other girl and he's comparing them. And that expression about social media, about sharing your highlight reels and not, people don't know your private life. They just know your highlight reels.
Yeah.
He knows that other girl looks like, and he fantasizes about her. And then he's got this real girl that he's with and he sees all of her faults. So the idealized image of this girl at work and the real girl he's setting himself up to be unhappy with his relationship, almost inevitably getting together with that girl at work. So he has to take action now. And the thing to do is, like, if you don't want to eat cookies after dinner and binge on desserts, don't bring them in the house, right? Leave them at the supermarket. Don't buy them, right? So don't be tempted at work. Transfer. Get another job. You can't, otherwise you're going to lose what you have.
Yeah, but what if she's the one? What if the girl at work is the one?
You never know.
People say that all the time.
And there are these cases, I mentioned them. I can't remember the names of some famous people that were married to other people, and then they meet, and all of a sudden they're so attracted to each other, and they divorce, and they marry, and then they're together for the rest of their lives. It sometimes happens. So here's a question I have for you. This is really a very serious issue. When we started, I started on a sort of a private group, maybe 2012. And a lot of guys started coming into the group who are addicted to porn and had a problem with porn. And the problem with porn was causing them to have ED and everything and really have terrible relationships. And a lot of them were concerned they were gay because they would like gay porn, even though they didn't think they were gay. So this story here, he says, I'm 28, male, living in a conservative place. Since I started pleasuring myself as a teenager, I've always done so to gay porn. But I've always exclusively dated girls. I never had a relationship with a guy. I never really wanted to. Well, he actually says, somewhat attracted to men. But now he's met his fiancée. He says, I really fell in love with her. We started to have sex. I initiate a lot. I enjoy sex with her. But I have to think of guys when I want to finish. Will our marriage be sustainable? Is this something like living a lie?
Well,
what do you think?
I have some good news. As women get older, they start to look more like men. As women get older, they start to grow a mustache. They start to grow more hair. Old women look a lot like, you know what I mean? Like when someone's a 90-year-old man and a 90-year-old woman
They
look
still have
worse.
girl parts, though. Their girl parts are still girl parts.
No, but that doesn't sound like he needs that. So I think that there's something going on. A lot of the adult sites will intersperse a lot of gay content with straight content. I don't know why. It is kind of a sinister thing.
Oh, I definitely know why. I mean, it's because as you become acclimated to normal sexual stimuli, it becomes boring, and then moving more edgy material is what turns you on. And inevitably, it's things that are repulsive to us in some way that become attractive to us when we're aroused.
Okay.
That's why they do it. That's why they do it. It doesn't mean people are gay, by the way. Now, this band sounds gay, but a lot of men who are using gay porn, they're not gay. It's just that they're into that porn. So
no, this guy doesn't sound gay to me at all.
Well,
it's like, so a lot of guys.
He does sound like it.
Your friends would say to you, "Oh, you're gonna finish too fast. Just start thinking about baseball or talk about baseball card statistics." So when I was in high school, I would think about guys all the time while I'm doing it. I'm like, okay, what are Pedro Martinez's stats this season? Like that's the thing. So
he says, I don't think I could ever give up gay porn or thinking of hot guys during sex. Now I wonder if I'm bi. That's what he says. I really think that this guy, gay, bi, straight, is kind of, I'll tell you what really matters. It really matters is who you're having sex with. Like the behavioral aspects of it. If you're having sex with women, then you're straight at that point. If you're having sex with men and you're a man, you're gay at that point. But that doesn't mean you're always gay or always straight. I mean, I don't know who makes up these terms, honestly.
Yeah, I think that this is a tricky one. So
he doesn't want to be gay because of his culture where he lives.
I mean, he sounds like he likes this girl. Here's my advice: do not tell her.
Right.
Do not say the only way I can come with you is when I imagine you with a beard.
Never do that. Never tell her that.
Version of that will end well.
Never, never, never.
And here's the thing: who cares what you're thinking about?
Yeah. Well, the thoughts are not real things. They're just thoughts. And you could have all the gay thoughts in the world. And if you're having sex with a woman and you're straight because you're having sex with a woman and you're a man. It's behavioral.
Let's try another version of this. What if you found out your wife said to you, "Oh, every time we sleep together, the only way I can come is I imagine you're a kangaroo."
Mm-hmm.
Would you care?
No, I don't care.
Yeah, I
try to feed her kangaroo fantasies, I guess.
God,
I try to help her along.
get a
I mean, well,
positive.
that's what we do, right? I mean, that's part of the
Yeah.
deal, isn't it? You turn the
So
other
just,
on
yeah.
it, whatever turns around. I'd like to know what it is. If it's kangaroos, I'd be excited about it to tell her that and see her
Yeah.
reactions. It'd be nice.
Why does everyone think your
Um,
fantasies need to become real? There's
there
a
no, you know what? The only thing about fantasy that makes it sharper is to imagine that it's real or that it could be real, right? But never mistake that imagining that it could be real for it actually being real. Because you can fantasize anything you want. It doesn't make you gay because you're having sex with a woman. And if you want to fantasize about men, go ahead.
I mean,
Nobody's
who
going to
cares?
care. Good for you.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Not a
That's what I'm
problem.
saying.
So
All right.
now the problem is though here is he may be really quite gay and not really be into girls at all, and he's marrying somebody because of social pressures. So what do you think about that? And that's not that uncommon.
But he's not saying that, and I don't know the answer.
Well,
That one's beyond my ability. Is like to. It's not cool to marry someone you don't love. Like that's not cool to
right.
use someone
No.
like that. In the same way to
No.
use someone else to raise a child you're gonna have with
He
someone.
says he loves this woman. He says he loves her. So that's, but he just thinks, he says, I can't ever give up gay porn when I'm, thinking of
Fine.
hot guys during sex.
So
Yeah,
what?
good for you. Yeah, so what? We agree.
It's like yes.
Okay.
How about this one? I hate the way my boyfriend dresses. All he wears are basketball shorts with no underwear and t-shirts with holes in them. He does manual labor. I always thought it was just work clothes.
Yeah.
He dresses like this every
Yeah.
day. He's really good to me. I don't want this to be the reason I break up, but I say things like, "Do you want to go shop with me? Or you look so good in this outfit." So
Well,
what we have here is the classic case of the fixer-upper. I have a guy, and I want to turn who I have a macho guy.
could you imagine a guy telling a girl, honey, you shouldn't be wearing that dress. Would you go back and change into something, more, like, you guys never do that, but women are always okay telling their guys, you should get your hair cut. That
Well,
shirt doesn't look very good on you. They're always grooming tips, but it never works the other way around. I've noticed.
well, here's what I think. And this is one of my core beliefs: is that on a first date, the man says, "I love you exactly as you are right now. I want you to never change. Stay the same age, dress the same way, act the same way forever." And the woman says, I love you. I want to change everything about you. I want to change you into the person who I wish I was on the date with instead of the
First
person I
date. This
with.
is first date conversation. Okay. Okay.
Every guy wants their girlfriend to stay 18 forever, right? 18,
Right. Right.
tiny underwear,
Yeah.
right?
Little thong.
Little tight dress, right? All of that stuff.
Yep.
But then
Yep.
she keeps changing and getting more relaxed and less effort, and then she wants the same thing. But this is like,
I know somebody, she's like in her late 70s, and she never puts her makeup on or does grooming or anything in front of her husband. The door is always shut.
yes.
She said, I
Do
don't
that.
want him to see me like that.
I wish my wife was. I wish my wife. That's a hint I drop my wife all the time.
And her husband's in his 80s, but she never shows him who she doesn't want him to see. Like
I
wake
love
up
that.
in the morning in a dark room because she doesn't want to see him without makeup.
Great. I love it. Keep some mystery. There's nothing wrong with a little mystery.
Yeah,
Like,
keep yourself up. But like I said, really, the truth is this is an asymmetric deal because a woman would like to tell a boyfriend how to dress. She should, she'd like to do that, and he doesn't care what she wears. Couldn't care less.
well,
The skimpier the better, the tighter the better. To me, if she wears a skimpy and tight thing, I like
guys
that better.
always buy women lingerie that they hate and then make them wear it.
But it's for them. They buy it for themselves. They want the woman
So
wearing it so they
rare.
get turned on.
That you buy
Yeah.
It's like because everyone I've ever talked to is like every guy buys them lingerie. Like the one girl I
Right.
dated, she's like he bought me lingerie that was in camouflage.
I went through that phase. I bought her lingerie, but it's like she didn't like it. It's like what's the point?
Yeah, let's just get this off. But that's
But in
what-
this case, I think she should tell him that he needs to dress better and take him shopping and just go and
Nope,
that's
she's already done
what's
it a
the big
bunch.
deal.
and he says things. Why does it matter? This is what I always wear. And she goes, I'm embarrassed when we go out together. He's handsome, but he doesn't present himself in a better way. It's not. I mean, honestly, I think this guy should break up with her. I think she sounds awful. Because I'll tell you
Well,
right, here's
you
what will
know-
happen. Here's what will happen. She will change the way he dresses and be less attracted to him. She'll go, oh, now, because
Yeah.
she dressed him like a metro guy. And she'll be like,
Right.
oh, now he's, now he's like becoming more, she'll make him dress more feminine or whatever in a way that's less tough. Or she'll then go, okay, now that I've changed that, what's next? and she'll want to change
Yeah,
another.
but it's also possible that he does need to upgrade what he's wearing. It depends where they're going. Maybe they're going to a nice restaurant for dinner, and she doesn't
Yeah,
want him to look like that. I can understand that.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm telling you that whenever the woman wants to change the guy, it never stops. It's an addiction. It's like
Yeah,
people that get
well,
plastic
that I can
surgery
understand
and they
too.
keep doing it until they look crazy. They how many
Right.
times they had like 50 surgeries.
So in other words, this is just the beginning. Once she changes this, then she'll need on the next thing. It'll be constantly disapproval and wanting to change the guy, and then she'll have an affair with someone else because she doesn't like this guy too much anymore because he listened to her too much, and she doesn't
Yeah.
respect him anymore because he's too submissive.
It's like the woman who says, "Okay, leave your band, stop driving a motorcycle, cut your hair,"
Hmm.
and you go, "Oh,
Hmm.
when did you become a cuck?" And it's like
Yeah,
you have
yeah.
to. This goes back to a point.
But I do think he could upgrade what he's doing, and he could definitely do that. I
Can't now.
personally never. I like to go shopping myself. I go shopping by myself. I
Yeah.
buy my stuff. I don't buy it with my wife. I don't too much.
Well, I don't
Um,
think he can do it now because if he does it now, she'll interpret it as, "Oh, he did what I told him to do."
mhm,
She's created
right.
a bad scenario. He's dug his heels in a little bit.
She's actually made it impossible for him to change what he's wearing now because he can't be shown to have given in to her. So he has to wait like 6 months now.
Yeah.
And then it's like his idea.
Yeah. I've got one.
So let's
You
say
go.
this is a problem that we have
Okay.
quite often, and I get this a lot in one way or another. So this is just an example. How do I tell my brother? I'm a guy. I'm in my. How do I tell him that I saw the somebody I know? We saw his girlfriend on a dating site, basically. Then
Which
she's
statement
putting
say?
herself out there. Hinge.
Don't shut your mouth.
Hmm.
So here's my best is if you find out someone in your life is cheating, your friendship is over for sure.
This is a
There's
brother, family. This is
doesn't matter.
family.
There's
Yeah.
no scenario where your brother says, "Thank you for telling me." You need to keep your mouth.
Don't tell him. Just
Never
don't say
say
anything.
anything. There's no.
Never say anything.
Here's the two
And
possibilities.
then he's going to be upset when he finds out. He's going to say, "And you knew, brother.
Oh,
You knew. Why didn't you tell me?"
I thought it was just someone
What
who
does the
looked.
brother say?
I just thought it
Yeah.
was someone who looked like her.
I didn't. It
Or
wasn't my business. I didn't want to get involved. I didn't
don't
really want to get. I mean,
don't
it's
tell
not
him.
my business.
How would he find out you knew unless you say something?
Yeah.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah. Yeah.
I learned this lesson the hard way. I'll tell you this right now. Because here's the result. So let's say you tell him. There's two possibilities. He breaks with her or he doesn't. So if he breaks up with her, he goes, "Wow, you ruined my relationship. It's your fault. I broke up and I loved that girl." Or they stay together and him and the girl whisper about how you're a bitch all the time. Right? There's
Yeah.
no scenario. You are in what's called a no-win situation.
So you just should like unknow what you know. Really, you
Yeah,
should like you never saw her on that dating site.
yeah. There's a thing. I think it's called the Kobayashi Maru. You ever heard of this?
No, what's that Kobayashi Maru?
So in Star Trek, there's a scenario where they put a captain in, like when you're on a test ship, right? It's not a real thing, but you're in it, and it's supposed to be unwinnable. There's nothing you can do. Whatever you do, whatever decisions you make, the ship always gets destroyed.
Right.
Kobayashi Maru. Unwinnable situation. That's what you're in here. There is no way you can imagine that you can thread the needle that in some way you can let him know, or you can drop hints like, oh, you'll accidentally leave it open to her profile page in front of him or whatever. Whatever you're thinking will fail.
Yeah. Don't do it.
Because there's no way to do it that doesn't end up with you being the loser. He will not appreciate whether he breaks up with her or doesn't. He's gonna not your relationship with him will be permanently damaged. There's just no. It's unwinnable. It's unfortunate, but that's just a fact.
Good advice.
My girlfriend wants to be a part-time stripper, even though I've made it clear I'm not comfortable with it. What's your advice? My favorite part is the word part-time. I think that's my favorite part of the whole
Well,
thing.
why does somebody want to be a stripper? If it's not for the money, because they
It's
have
the
no
money.
options.
Nope, she says right
It's
now
the
she
money.
graduated from college, she has a bad salary, and she doesn't really like her job. And she said, "What if I start stripping on the side? It's a job. It means nothing. I'll be in and out." So, and I said, "I'm not into it," but she still makes jokes about it, and she's brought it up again recently. She says, and so I had a friend whose wife was a stripper. and it was and it was kind of working out for them. I don't know if there's this 20 years ago. I don't know if they seemed okay at the time, but that's the exception to
Yeah.
there's such a sinister side to that business that isn't discussed. And here's what happens. I'll tell you right now, it's not going to stay part-time. You're kidding yourself. There's no such thing as a part-time stripper. Like I've never heard that word before. That's why I thought it was interesting you said
Is
that.
that the same as exotic dancer? Is that the same? Is that what people are? Is that a euphemism for
Yeah,
it?
exotic dancer is the euphemism.
And then what are the gentlemen's club? Is that a euphemism for a strip joint?
That's just a legal name.
Okay, that's a legal name. Okay, it's a strip club, but they call it a gentlemen's club instead.
Yeah, there's no gentleman
I
in there.
hate strip.
It's all
I
it's
hate strip clubs. I've been to one once or twice in my life. I just hated it.
which
It's like
part
the
did you
last
hate? The
thing.
loud music or the fact that everything is sticky?
Everything about it's horrible to me.
So there's
Um,
I know someone who runs. I know someone, they're a professional strip club manager. He's been doing it for years. He's worked at a bunch of them.
mhm.
There's
Okay,
always it's always more than dancing. I'll tell you that right now.
always,
There's
always.
always
Of
some
course
more
it
stuff
is.
going on. Not
Of
every
course there
person
is.
does it. Not everyone who strips does the other thing, but that element
Yeah,
is there. There's a lot of
of
other
course it
things going
is.
on. There's a lot
Oh
of
my
like
God.
other moving parts.
And very sad situations for these girls too. I mean, a lot of them are just in tough situations. It's kind of like your environment is the people you spend time with. If you spend time in an icky environment, you become more icky. If you spend time with people that are like doing things much greater than what you're doing and you have so much like you're going to reach to be more like them, then you're going to be much better off. So you don't want to be descending in this world of strip clubs. It's a bad
Here's
environment for you.
It's a short-term play with a lot of long-term consequences.
Yeah.
And whatever, like I don't have a problem with strippers. I get all that, but she's got a college education. If you don't like your job, get another job. Start your own. There's so many other options.
Yeah.
There's this thing right now, it's very hot. Everyone's like starting online adult stuff. I believe that entire industry is going to collapse within the next 5 years and be all replaced with AI.
Are you talking about onlys, things
Oh
like
yeah.
that?
I believe that would
So
be.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
when I think about which job is going to be replaced by AI first, I actually think it's that. I've been thinking about that a lot lately.
I
Be-
remember on the other side of the spectrum, I remember this guy telling me. Now I don't have experience with this, but he's a someone that worked with for me, and he said there's like these bars where you go and you pick up a woman, you go back to her place or whatever, you have do the deed, and then you're expected to leave money on the side table. It's like they're not prostitutes professionally, but they're kind of like getting extra money. Like that's the understanding. Do you have you experienced with that?
Uh, it sounds like,
Like amateur, like a situation like that, like sort of an amateur place, or
well,
that's
yeah,
kind of
there,
what is
of
going on.
course, there are.
Yeah,
So there's different cultures where there's different expectations. So I don't know exactly what it
this
is,
is
but
in Long Beach, California.
I don't want to get into too specifics. But it sounds there's certainly I'm very aware of that, and people call it different things. Like there's a whole sugar baby culture, which is that where they just don't call it prostitution.
And the sugar baby, is my understanding, is more like a relationship, but this is not a relationship. This is a one night thing. Just it just happens to be amateur instead of pro. I was
Well,
speaking about it because she's saying I just want to be a part time stripper, and that's why I was relating to the other
well,
thing.
no, the idea that like so it's like oh I meet guys in a specific bar like a freelancer bar as opposed to
Yeah,
standing on the street.
and they leave a gift. It's not a monetary transaction. It's sort
Oh,
of like
like a
couch.
DVD
It's
or a
it's like well,
couch.
just a
You leave
little
a DVD
leave
or
a
a
little
couch
something.
behind. I don't know. All I can
Yeah.
tell you is that right now is that um, this will destroy your relationship.
Well, she's in the sordid world of strippers. When she's in that sordid world of strippers, it's kind of ruins it for your relationship. I think in the longer run, it's terrible.
Because one of my friends, his girlfriend became a waitress at a strip club,
Okay.
and she's like, "I'm a waitress, not a dancer." And it's like,
Hmm.
okay, have you ever met a strip club manager or owner? Guess what they do to every waitress? You know, you can make more money if you took your top off. They're always trying to
It's
get waitresses on stage. That's part of the game.
yeah, always
It's,
recruiting.
yeah, every dirty movie's like that. So all of this, I'll say, is if you're not into it, she wants to do it bad because she's doing all the things you do, dropping hints, joking about it, saying, I could support you better. And for a while, in the short term, it's fine, but in the long, it's a tough road for both of you. It's not like you have no options. I don't know. It sounds like he doesn't want her to do it, but she wants to do it. So I would say your relationship is over, dude.
Yeah.
She'll
Well,
always
well. So
regret you
speak.
making her work a job she hates.
Or if you don't let her do it, she'll resent you because you didn't let her make money at her job. It's just gonna, not good either way.
Yeah.
So here's a question for you. What do you think about staying friends with an ex? So
No.
here's the situation.
Nope.
Right. But here's the situation. This is not a very long relationship. It's maybe 3 or 4 months of dating. He says, I was patient. I waited till she finished her exam in March to ask her for a serious relationship, but she said she's not looking for one. They met again, on Hinge, actually. I'm confused because I treated her like my girlfriend, giving her love, attention, and care, but she said she needs to be alone and work on herself. She says, I want to stay friends. And she
She's
initiates
lying.
outings and conversations, even reaching out at night when she can't sleep.
She's lying.
And I appreciate her effort to maintain the friendship, but I'm confused
She's lying.
about her motives. And I like her, and I think about her all the time, which is very painful. But I don't know what I should do. Should I cut her off for peace of my mind, or should I hold hope
Cut
that
her
she's
off.
giving me a chance?
She hates you.
Okay, so this is a very classic friend zone story,
She-
except they started out. It doesn't say they slept together, though. See, I'm not
She-
sure about that.
She hates him. There's something inside of her.
That
On a-
sounds extreme.
No, let's be honest for a second.
She
Oh.
hates him. I
Well,
don't
you
think she
can-
hates him. She wants to use him.
Well, the only way you can
Just
treat
using 'em.
someone this badly is if part of you hates them. Otherwise, it's impossible because you cannot do this to someone you
There are
love.
narcissistic, self-centered people. They just don't care about anyone but themselves. It's not that they
Exactly.
hate other people. It's just that they use them. That's all.
Oh,
That's what I
okay.
see. I don't
Sorry.
see any hate.
She,
there.
she doesn't hate him.
yeah.
She just despises him.
No.
I apologize. I completely used the
No,
wrong
she
term.
doesn't despise him, but she just wants him to be a certain way. She's doesn't
Yeah,
see him
so-
as. She doesn't have respect for him. Let's put it that way.
When a woman says that she wants to find herself, you need to run.
Work on herself. Be
Same
alone and work on herself. Yeah.
Yes. So, I had a girl say
That's
this to me
horrible.
once. She goes, I have to go figure out who I am and figure out what I need. I need to be
It's not
single
you.
for
It's
a while.
me.
She had a new boyfriend like 4 days later, and that guy was way worse than me. I was like, all right. So, my experience of this is that it just means I don't want to be with you. It's the same thing of saying when someone says I'm not. Oh, I'm
Yeah. I'm not attracted to you.
sexual means I'm not attracted to you. I don't want
Yeah.
a relationship with you. However, I want you
Right.
to be. Still want you to buy me stuff. I still want
Yeah, I want all the benefits of a relationship, but I don't want to sleep with you.
what she has is the classic vampire familiar relationship, which is I'll keep you in my orbit. I'll keep promising that one day I'll make you a vampire, but I will suck the blood out of you to sustain myself.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I will turn other people into vampires. So
Plus, she feels like she has this guy on a reserve, in case she has any problems, she can run to him. If she can't sleep, he's always there waiting in reserve. He's her orbit. What do they call these orbiting guys?
yeah, he's an orbiter. So
Yep.
as you know, I have a lot of experience with orbiters. Like that's my specialty.
We all do. We all do.
If I go out and this is one of my single, if I meet a guy and he's an orbiter with a girl, 100% of the time she will sleep with me that night, every single time, and the guy will go home crying, and he will hate me, and I'll say the same thing. I'll go, I just freed you because you need to face it. She was never going to sleep with you because she hates you. You're free. And I wish people had freed me when I was in that situation. So it sounds like I'm a monster, but it's not true because you need to realize that when you're friends in the friend zone with a woman and she always knows because she'll get free stuff out of it, whatever. That's why women do it. They get stuff. It's like, why would I have a relationship with you when I know for sure when I'm just your friend, I'll get a car. Why would I start a relationship when maybe I'll get a car, maybe I won't? But my situation will either stay the same or decrease. There's no reason to enter a relationship with you. So here's what this guy needs to do. Exit the relationship. Because he already knows the answer because he said it. Should I cut her off for my peace of mind? The answer is yes. Here's what she's actually doing is she's meeting just enough of your needs that it keeps you from finding a woman who actually respects you. So and guys do this as well. I don't want to pretend that guys don't do this, but when women do this, when a woman's doing this, it's very tactical. She knows exactly the right amount of affection and attention to give you to keep you in orbit, but not so much that she pulls you and the moon crashes into the earth, and not so much that you break orbit and escape and have freedom. it's a juggling act. It takes a lot of work to
Wow.
manipulate someone at this level, and she is actively doing it. And that she's able to, now that her exams are over, she's able to focus on really manipulating this guy. So get out of the relationship, get out of the house. Now, men tend to do this. It used to be called friends with benefits. Now it's called situationships. This is just women have created this new version of it where
Well,
the
there's no
men.
relationship that's sexual.
So
It's non-sexual.
right,
That's like a very old, yeah,
right.
that's the
So
difference.
the version, a friend zone is the woman gets her emotional needs met, but the guy doesn't get his physical needs met. A situationship
Yep.
is the woman, the man gets his physical needs met, but the woman does not get her emotional needs met. It's the exact opposite. It's the yin and the yang of like bad relationships. Both are terrible. Both are caustic. It's a great way to throw your 20s in the trash. You like lose years in these relationships. Because I know people like, oh, I'm in a situation for 6 years. That's you giving it a cool name, right? It's like saying I've been a mistress for 6 years, right? Like you're on the side. He always promises he's going to leave his wife, right? That you're in that
Well,
situation.
he's saying I like her very much. I think about her all day. Which so that's the reason to get rid of her completely in your
Yeah.
life, so you can make space for a new woman.
Listen, it's an
You can't
addiction.
ever make space for a new woman if you're thinking about this one. You got to get rid of her.
Yeah, he just has an addiction,
Um,
and you need to cut it off.
yeah, yeah, and very few women are worth being friends with anyway. So why would you want to be friends with these women? Mostly, um, honestly. Um, so what's the next one you have?
My fiance wants me to put his family before mine, even at the expense of my family's health. So this is a very long story. Basically, her sister has an eye emergency where she is going to lose the eye. So she goes to take
Oh
care of her
wow.
sister, and the fiance is like, "Hey, you're going to be at dinner tonight with our, you're going to be at dinner tonight with my sister, right?" And she's at the hospital, and they have a problem because her sister needs a surgeon. They don't have a surgeon there, so they go, "You have to take her to another hospital to get to an eye surgeon, or she's going to lose her eye." And he's like, "Hey, you're supposed to be having dinner with my sister tonight."
It doesn't seem to be somebody who knows what's going on here. Kind of a out of touch, weird comment.
I mean, it's a really, and he like got mad at her for like
What's the major issue here, though? I don't get the issue.
he because he goes, "Hey, you're supposed to put my brother in front of your family. I told you we had a special
Oh,
dinner
okay.
with my brother, and you wasted it at the hospital with your sister just because she was losing her eye."
Yeah,
So
well, that's ridiculous. That's
I
insulting, and
I know I like to find I want to mix in ones where the guy is obviously the villain. I want to make it clear that we don't always think the woman is the villain. Like this guy is a
hmm
monster. Get out of this relationship. What I find a lot is people ask a question they usually already know the answer.
hmm
What should I do if somebody like tells me I shouldn't take care of my
Well, one
sibling?
thing that I look at when I'm looking at a relationship with somebody, the thing that I look at early on is how they treat their other people in their life. So the other people are in two categories. One category would be how they treat people they don't know, such as waiters and waitresses. The other category is friends and how do they and family. How do they treat them? Now, early on, you don't know how someone treats their family because you don't actually see her when you're with her family. But what you do is if you get into a discussion about family, you listen very carefully and you listen for negativity. You listen for something that shows less than kindness. You listen to her attitude. And somebody who's a loving, wonderful person will just have nothing but loving, wonderful things to say about their family, especially early on in a relationship. But you'd be surprised at how many people will give themselves away by talking, trash about their old boss, their ex, their family member, their brother-in-law, their former brother, and that's where you know that that's the person that you don't want to be around. Like it's a person like this who would be offended if you were going to take care of your family member who's losing her eye instead of a dinner, which is it's ridiculous, Stephen. It's ridiculous.
It would be one.
You
So
have to,
the only scenario I could think of is if your brother and her sister are losing an eye at the same time.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It would have to be something like that for me to even consider. But okay, now you have a complicated question. So, but
You could say, they had those what was it where they eat the eyeballs, in the horror movie. Maybe you could say, hey, we had eyeballs for dinner we were having, so you could have come here and had
oh my
eyeballs. What do you
gosh,
have
yeah,
to do with your sister? Yeah,
yeah, this guy's. So when
So
people,
so look for those signs. Just look for them. It's a red flag when people are saying unkind things about somebody in their life or doing
when
unkind things. They're giving themselves away.
when people tell you who they are, believe them. There's a
Yeah.
thing that we do early in a relationship, which is we go, "I'm the exception." He cheats on all of his girlfriends except for me.
Yeah, exactly. Stopped all of a sudden.
I'm the one person that he'll treat differently, and it's
That's
not.
right.
That's not reality. The
The
reality,
odds aren't good. Aren't good. They're not good for that. The odds are that the pattern will continue, not rather than be broken. Right? Patterns
yeah,
generally continue. But I really feel that it's important to see how a prospective partner is treating other people in her life, people she doesn't know, and people that she knows early on. And you should have very loving things, and you know, kindness to animals, kindness to other people. To me, is like a requirement. Somebody who I'm going to have in my life. If they're not kind, isn't it just a question of kindness in a sense? If they're an unkind. This is an unkind person.
yeah. Isn't a group of ravens called an unkindness? I think about that all the time.
I don't. Is it? I know a murder of crows. I don't know about ravens.
Yeah,
So
an
I have
unkindness
this
raven. I
person.
think about that all the time because that's what it sounds like here. It's if people are mean about small things, they'll be mean about big things. It's like people that say, "Oh, if I have a lot more money, I'll start giving to charity." No, they won't. No,
Right.
people don't. Money doesn't make you change who you are fundamentally. It just magnifies you.
Yeah, I really feel it's important to early on before you get too involved with someone to see how they treat other people in their life. Make sure that that's cool. Because in a way, when you first meet somebody, you have to look for reasons to disqualify them before you develop real feelings for them. You have to find out things that knock them out of the running. This is an important point because otherwise you can fall for somebody and they're just a bad person for you and you get in a crappy relationship because you didn't pay attention to the negatives.
This is good. So, most real estate deals, you know how people have like the one real estate deal that destroyed them? What happens is they get
Yeah.
emotionally invested in the upside and they don't look at the downside. Every really successful real estate investor, because I've worked on a bunch of those projects, they always say the same thing, which is that I always look at the downside first. If the downside is big, it doesn't matter how big the upside is, I don't do it. So that's most people approach relationships the opposite of what you just said, which is that we're looking for reasons to say yes instead
Yeah.
of watching for the warning signs. Or there's always people that have like the
Yeah.
really dumb warning signs, which is like he's left-handed or whatever, like silly stuff. But if people are bad to waiters, if people don't tip, or if people do something weird, then they're gonna keep doing that. Like people are,
Or they have a falling out. They talk about a falling out with their brother-in-law or how bad their mom is, or anything like that. That's a big red flag. Anything negative about people in their lives is a big red flag.
yeah, it's okay to have like bad relationships. It's not okay to talk about it all the time. Like that's the sign. Like I don't
Right.
have any friendships with any of my exes, but I don't talk bad about them. I never should never talk about them. That's very different. But it's just like when people break up, they really want out. Like nobody halfway breaks up with me. They want out. Here's one that's kind of this one's an extreme one. I think we will mix this in. So my wife and I are in our mid 30s. She's finally pregnant. She has a nephew who's 22. I caught him poisoning a horse one time.
Oh my God.
I feel like I don't even need to finish it. You know what I mean? Like when you hear that, it's he was feeding a horse an avocado, which is poisonous to horses, intentionally to make it sick. He makes people call him the names of fictional characters because he's these fictional characters reincarnated. You're not allowed to use his real name.
He's mentally ill. So she has a very mentally ill nephew who could be violent or, anybody that abuses
Yes.
animals,
When she got
serious mental problems.
so they thought she couldn't have children. She finally got pregnant at mid 30s, and he sent her a bunch of really bad texts about the baby. Like I don't want to read what they say. So that's
So
how
why doesn't she disown this nephew and
Well,
never
no.
be around him? And
She kept texting her until she started crying, and then he's like, "Listen, I don't want him in our house." And she's like, "No, but he's part of my family." And his
no,
parents
not
are
anymore. Not anymore.
enablers. Yeah, so I can't even wrap my head around how you say he poisoned a horse, but like you usually hear about someone like messing around with cats. Horse is that's a high level. You know what I mean? Like that's really more extreme because it's hard to find a horse to poison it. So she said, I've already forgiven him for all the stuff he said to me, and we have to invite him to Easter dinner so he's not isolated because she thinks if we isolate him, he'll
Nope.
get worse. So
Well,
I said, nope,
too bad.
stop.
Too bad.
Well, yeah. So he's like,
Too bad.
I'm in the wrong. And it's like, yeah, listen, there's yeah, I mean that's what, once I heard poison a horse, I didn't have to read anymore. Like to me, you have to have some lines about what's okay.
Yeah, I
Like
mean, I've
there's
had family members that I didn't talk to because they were disturbed people I didn't want in my life. And just because they're family doesn't mean that they're not disturbed people that I don't want in my life. It's like, so I just didn't. I eliminated them completely. And
yeah,
it was smart on my part to do that because some of my
so
family are not very good. They're not good people.
there's a huge difference between me and my parents have different politics, so now I hate them forever versus my nephew tried to kill an animal or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
first of all, you have to
Yeah.
look up. I didn't know that. You have to first look up what animals or what foods are poisonous for horses, then buy
Well,
it. Bring it to a horse.
she's trying to like rescue him, and she could be jeopardizing her relationship and everything else that's
Well, he's
right
worried
on
because
what they
this
should
guy's a
do.
poisoner. He hates women and he hates our baby. I don't want him to do something to you.
No,
Like,
I
slow
wouldn't want him
something down.
around. Yeah, you have to keep that person around. He's a psycho. You got to keep away from a psycho.
But you gotta, I mean, honestly, like, maybe you gotta do what you gotta do. You know what I mean? Like,
The
maybe,
TRO.
maybe you just gotta make sure this guy can't come back. Like, that's so, but
Maybe get an injunction, or go to court and get an injunction so that
yes,
you could call the police if he comes around.
I mean, the guy definitely, like, it's very strange to me because if someone, why not get them the help that they need if they have a mental problem? Like, they obviously do. The guy
Yeah.
also carries a stuffed animal around. I mean, it sounds like, what's the one, men get it more often than women where they see stuff and they hear voices and whatever.
It's sort of a schizophrenia
And
kind of a
that's it.
thing.
That's what this sounds like to me, which is like a very,
Yeah, it does sound like schizophrenia. It does. And a lot of times, early 20s is when it really manifests the worst.
and
He does sound schizophrenic. He
there's,
does.
it's very, like, if we don't take him to the doctor, then it's not real, but then he can't get better. Like, schizophrenia is, it's dealable, right? Like, there's pills for it and stuff, there's
Yeah.
solutions.
Yeah.
The
There are.
solution is
There
not
are.
ignoring it. So, okay.
Right. I agree. So here's the thing I'm wondering. This is from someone. She says, I don't know what's going on. I've had a relationship. My boyfriend broke up with me, found out later he had been cheating. Had another relationship. We were going to get married. Then he was cheating. So now I'm thinking actually one of those relationships was abusive. He would shout at me, make me feel scared, call me names. He hated me smiling and talking to other people. Was always jealous. But anyway, is there something wrong with me? I feel like I'm just feeling physically sick because I feel like there's something about me that causes everyone I'm with to cheat, and maybe I can never be happy. Do you feel that there are women that are just women that everyone cheats on? Like that? Is
Yes.
that a thing?
Yes, absolutely. So, um, if one boyfriend cheats on you, shame on them. If seven boyfriends in a row cheat on you, shame on you. Now you have a
Hmm.
pattern. So what's the one element in common? 'Cause I know people who have, and there's different names for this, but they're attracted to people that are bad in different ways. Like they always attracted to cheaters, always attracted to people that say bad things to them or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And usually, you can dig into it. There's something in their childhood or whatever. There's something that she's doing that is attracting this type of person. And you go through these, you have to figure out what's causing it. So I once dated, I think, 5 to 7 women in a row. I can't remember who'd all been victims as children. And I was like, what am I doing that this is my pattern? And
Right.
obviously, that's a very different thing. I was like, but I'm somehow attracting the type of woman that I think I can save, which is the
Yeah.
problem. The problem is not that something happened to them. The problem is that my hero complex stuff, so that's what was happening. It was like, oh, I can save you from what happened before we met. So you have to
Yeah.
look at it and go, what do these guys all have in common? And say, okay, what are the warning signs I missed? You need to change your behavior. So there's a couple of things, which is you're sending out an energy that attracts this type of guy, which is for sure happening because you can alter who is attracted to you by the energy you put
Oh,
out.
can I read something she wrote? She
Yeah.
says, on the anniversary of my grandpa's death, he calls me, her ex. I guess I'm not sure that he was an ex at that point. He called me and cursed me out for 2 hours, calling me blank, 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 blank. I can't imagine why somebody would stay on the phone for 2 hours with
Yeah,
somebody
that
who's
always
abusing them. It's a red flag.
I always get so when people,
Ugh.
but also it can be that she hung up and he called back and she hung up and he called back and stuff and that thing maybe, but
Well,
yeah,
I don't think she should have answered the phone. Really, it's not that
yeah.
hard. She could block the call.
When people were talking about like, oh, this really bad thing happened in the video game, it's you can just leave the game or take off the headset. I've been in those situations, and like you just change.
So,
Like,
I've had these.
it's not.
I'll just say housekeepers because that's what they were. And so I don't like have full-time housekeepers. Somebody comes around once a week to clean the house. And we found that over the years, a lot of them were from Central American countries that they tend to like a lot of drama. Not all of them, some of them don't, but some of them really are into a lot of drama, and they love the drama, really. And their life is just one dramatic effect thing after the other. And that's what I get from here. This young woman is really into drama. Maybe that's something that she can get some insights from. All these things happening to her all the time. That's her identity of somebody that has all these bad things happening from these bad boyfriends. That's kind of how she's starting to develop her identity, and that's not a good thing.
That can happen too. So we've created a society where you can become famous for things that you didn't do. Like a lot of people
Okay.
are celebrities for being victims or the circumstance of their birth, or
Right.
a lot of people feel like the most significant thing about themselves is something they have no control over, whether it's
Right.
where they were born or they're anything about whatever. And it's like it's all
Right.
things that are outside your control. It's like I don't want to be famous for what I've done. I want to be famous for something that's no people want to be no effort famous and
Well,
drop
they
it.
don't feel like they've done anything, so their
Well,
identity is going to be
so
around.
what they do is, yeah, and a good way to get a lot of attention is drama. Because every time she has a big breakup, all of her friends give her a ton of attention. You can create a
Yeah.
negative attention cycle. And part of it is, so here's
Yeah.
something,
That's what I get out of
life
this. I get very strong vibes like that. The
will,
the, the drama, very strong.
if my wife watches a bunch of Korean soap operas, we will
Yeah.
have a weird fight. I always know, I go, 'cause it hasn't happened for a while, but we've had a bunch of really weird fights where she would accuse me of weird stuff.
You just know. Then you got to look at what she was watching. Oh,
I'll be
Korean
like,
soap opera. Knew
I'll
it.
say, have you watching your? I made her stop watching these shows because Korean soap operas have a lot of weird premises. Like my husband has a second wife that's a ghost, is one, and another one is the guy has two wives, one who's young and one who's old. He's got a family with a woman who's like 20 and a family with a woman who's like 50.
I
And
see.
it's like,
Very realistic.
well, no, they're always really complicated. Or
Yeah.
sometimes she's married and they've been together for like 7 years, and then she finds out he's been a ghost the whole time. That's another one. It's always like really, really.
I hate when that happens.
It's like, yeah, because I told you, my wife, we had so many fights about me having a second family. I was like, I never leave the house.
I
I
think
don't,
that's a rare thing, though. I don't think normally women are
I
kissing
know,
guys that are having a second family,
but
Jonathan. You're kind
I
of a
know,
little bit of a
I know.
outlier there.
But also, but my uncle's father did have a second family, so it's in my, it's like, it's not that crazy of an
Uh-oh.
accusation because
You're
someone in my family
cursed.
did it.
You're like
So,
this what young woman. You're cursed.
so
You're
it's
gonna
like
have
a piece,
now. You have to have a second family.
well,
You're just gonna be drawn to it.
there's a legitimate piece of evidence, which is a family member of mine in my immediate family straight up did have a second family and got away with it. No one found out till his funeral. Like that guy
Well,
100% made it to the finish line. But what I'm saying is that my wife will watch dramatic movie television and then become more dramatic.
yeah.
That's what I'm seeing
Yeah.
here.
So the environment influences you, and if what you're watching on TV or whatever, or porn you're using, or whatever it
I'm
happens to
sure
be, that's part
I'm
of your
sure it's her
environment.
social media. When you watch high drama social
Yeah.
media, and
Yeah.
this is why a lot of women in their 20s, and I watched this really amazing video a few weeks ago where they asked women from the 1960s, what do you look for in a guy? And they're all long-term relationship qualities. He
Yeah.
works hard,
Good father, good
he's
provider,
kind,
kind person, that
he
sort
will
of thing, right?
protect me. You
Yeah.
never, women now, when you say, what are you looking for in a guy? They never say anything that's like a good quality of a person. They say big muscles, tall, big money. They never say kind to me, protect me, provide for me, which is that's the long-term version of the same sentence, right? Makes good money, will provide for me, right? One's a short-term statement, one's a long-term statement. So
Well, maybe this is a long-term evolution away from these relationships in general, that
yeah,
people aren't looking for the complementary uh, qualities in a partner anymore because they could do it all themselves.
yeah,
You don't need somebody to protect you. You can be by
I think
yourself. You
that,
could work. You're a woman. You could work, make just as much money.
yeah.
What do you need a guy for?
Well, and then you end up in this type of relationship. So what she has is a result of not realizing maybe it's passive behaviors, not active behaviors.
I think we should coin a term called dramaphilia, like love of drama. Drama. She's a dramaphiliac.
Really
Um,
wanted it.
she even like she says, I feel like my love life is cursed.
Yeah,
Even that
it's like
is kind of like, oh, I'm
like she
someone.
said,
It's a way of being more important than you really are. You could feel more important because like there's a curse, like
I
the
think part
universe
of the
cares that
problem is
much about you.
you're not reading it right. Here's what Czech said. I feel like my love life is cursed. That's what she's you're so when you read it the way she wrote it, then you can see that she thrives on attention. A lot of people do this. So
Negative attention is better
yes,
than none,
this
right?
can
Is that
happen.
sort of thing?
I have had friends like this. Okay, kids who act.
Yeah.
When I was in school, kids who act up in school, their parents would only pay attention when they were being bad. It was the only way to get their dad to notice them. And you don't even realize you're doing it, but you're bad because then at least dad talks to me, even though he's spanking me or shouting at
Yeah.
me, paying attention to me. So
Right.
this
Right.
could be part of this cycle because it's just not random. It's not random bad
No.
luck that all of the guys cheat on you. Most people
Nobody gets somebody, and he shouts at her, makes her feel scared, calls her names. Nobody in the right mind would ever be in a relationship with somebody that would do that, even for a second.
Yeah.
Honestly,
So my wife and I had to talk about this because she was like, I was like, why are you shouting at me? I was like, I've literally never shouted at you. And I said, I will do one demonstration of me shouting and I will never do it again. And I said, this is what it sounds like when I'm shouting. She goes, oh yeah, you've never done that. I go, I don't do that. I've raised my
yeah,
voice.
men can be very scary to women when they can
Yeah.
be very scary to women.
All of
So,
that stuff where you,
obviously,
but like, that's the thing is that like my dad used to shout and it was very scary. And like, I don't want to be scared. I don't want my kids to
Right.
be scared of me, but
absolutely.
there are a lot of guys, they shout and then it turns into something else. That whole path, it's like,
A woman is with a guy and he hates her smiling and talking to others. It gets mad for that's someone. She wants someone to be jealous. She thrives on this kind of negative attention. She's got to work
I've
on that.
known women who will start stuff just to see their boyfriend beat up a guy and then it makes them aroused. Like,
Yeah.
I've seen people get
Right.
really hurt because she goes, that guy was looking at me. And the guy goes, what? And then the guy's beating him
Yeah,
up.
they get off on this conflict. Exactly. It's
So-
not a coincidence. You
I
are
always-
absolutely right to be looking into yourself that there's something you are doing that produces this. You are right about that. But it's not a curse like that some third party or spirit has a hold over you. It's what you're doing. So the good news is you have agency and you have control over these relationships. You could pick a different person next time.
So I've got one that's a little fun. Let's go in another direction because some of these have been a little
Good.
heavy. Last night,
Yes.
I had a first date with a girl. Her boyfriend tracked her down, found us, and then drove away with her. I love that. I love everything about that. So he wrote a long version, then he finally wrote the short version. So I like the short version. He goes, I met a girl on a dating app last week. We quickly hit it off. We spent the past few days texting, sending Snapchats, and getting to know each other. Our first date was last night. Everything is going smoothly until a car stops in the middle of the road next to where we're walking. A man gets out, barrages me with questions, and tells me that she's his girlfriend and demands she get in the car, tells me to leave, and then drives away. My gut
And she
yelled
gets
at
in
me-
the car with him.
Yeah. My gut tells me she was in danger. I'm in a state of shock and having a hard time processing. Well, I mean, if I can't imagine that it wasn't actually her boyfriend and she got in
Right.
the car, like that's a different thing. You didn't let a girl get kidnapped, which is not.
No.
So I
No.
actually think this is pretty common.
Yeah.
Not the whole scenario, but I think a lot of girls. So
The common part is a girl kind of messing around with someone else
yeah,
when she has a boyfriend. Right.
going on. Well, what you do is so guys break up when they're tired of the relationship, but women break up when they've figured out where they're going next.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why men go through long periods of singledom, but women usually don't. Women usually have another guy they go, oh, I just met him a week later. Did you? So what she's doing is like seeing what's out there or whatever, or getting affirmation. But also, as soon as I heard this, we matched on a dating site, and then we were texting and sending Snapchats.
Mm-hmm. I
Right?
thought the same thing.
It's like,
And he said getting to know each other. No, you don't get to know each other that way. You don't. He doesn't know her at all. He's just been on one
so-
date with her, and she
so
she decided she wanted to
yeah.
be with her boyfriend instead
all
of
that
him.
other stuff, the lead
Mid-date.
up to the date is dumb. So I believe dating
Yeah.
is like jujitsu. you have to be close enough to smell the other person's breath, or you're not on a date. All of this,
Yeah.
you can't actually, because here's what happens. We've done a lot of work talking about long distance relationships. We've written a lot of products, but what will happen is and this is just the same thing where you text someone a bunch of secrets, and then when you meet them in person, it's weird because a stranger knows your secrets. That's how it feels. This stranger has seen me naked, or we've done phone stuff, or whatever people do now, whether it's video chat naked, or send each other naughty videos, or doing phone calls or texting, whatever it is, all of that stuff. I don't even know if people say sexting anymore. When I was in high school, it was called cybering, right? No one uses that word anymore. But all of that stuff only hurts you. The first time you should see a person naked should be in person. All of this stuff. So I'm Snapchatting.
There shouldn't be any Snapchat, any back and forth. The whole thing should be texting to get a date, time, venue.
Yeah, I
That's
had a
it.
friend
You know, it's the whole
from
point.
Czechos from
Transactional.
yeah, I had a friend from Czechoslovakia. He goes, "I will text a woman to set up when and where we're going to meet." Like, he said it like very Eastern European. He's like, "That's it. I will not. I don't text me
Hmm.
about your day. You want to talk about your day? Meet me in person."
Yeah, we'll talk about it in person. Yeah, that's the
Probably,
date. He doesn't know her until he met her. So basically, he's known her for an hour, and the boyfriend took her away. She wanted to be with her boyfriend more than him. So, okay.
yeah. So it's like, so
Next.
here's the no. It gets better. So the first thing he goes, as soon as she drove off, I called 911.
Oh, my God.
The cops did not get formally
Ugh.
involved. You think? Because she goes, I'm safe.
Yeah.
So this guy, he goes, I absolutely believe she was in an unhealthy relationship, that this is a bad guy, and that I'm really concerned about health and safety. Dude, you are so dumb. This this girl was cheating, and you know what she saw? She goes, oh, I have two choices. I have a guy who's willing to fight for me, and I have a cuck. I'm getting in.
Well, the guy, yeah, the date, so called, is somebody that she has sort of employed in her world in order to kind of get closer to her boyfriend in some way,
Yeah, she
inside
probably
his
let
jealousy.
the
And
boyfriend know where she
she
was.
liked it.
Tell us when you
That's her
find her.
drama. She let him know where he was. Yeah, she liked it. She
Guy
liked
is
the
like,
guy fighting for him. He's
your
a
scene
prop
is
in her
over.
play.
Yeah, the movie's over. Your scene is over. You're not here. Stop thinking about
You know,
her.
the guy that's writing this, he's a prop in her movie. That's all he is.
You know how when you grew up, it was traditional to like the woman calls you and you walk her home to the door to make sure she's safe and all of that stuff. I imagine, I don't know if this is true, but this is what I imagine's like before I was in my generation, and this is the generation before his. If you say to a woman, "Call me when you get home so I know you're safe" or whatever, women who they hate you for that. They don't respect you for women. If you care about a woman's safety who's not your girlfriend, they hate you. So I know that sounds extreme, but that's the absolute. Every single time I've ever cared if a woman got home safe or not, or said, text me when you get home so I know you're okay, whatever, they ended up despising me for it. They'd see it as weak. They don't, just like, oh, you care about me? You don't even know me good enough. If you care about me, you must care about everyone. That means you're a beta. All that stuff. So, this
Yeah, well, that's a good point.
thing. And also, I mean, I don't think he should have fought the guy, being like, oh, this guy thinks he's your boyfriend. I'm your new boyfriend. Time to fight, car guy. Also, if
No,
the
no,
choice of a
no,
boyfriend
no.
is on foot and a boyfriend with a car, car's gonna win. Has this guy never seen a 1950s movie? Has he never seen any movie about greasers versus walkers? Why
I
is
always think
not
the
like
same
that?
thing when I hear a story like this. Dude, the one who's writing this, you got spared. You're spared this, bad situation.
Yeah,
You're lucky. It happened so quickly.
I had this
The
friend.
worst thing is when you get involved with somebody and you're already too far in, and then you find out these red flags. That's hard. That's what happens to so many people.
Here's a
So you're
piece of
lucky you got
wisdom.
spared.
It's so much better to find out that she's gonna cheat on you on the
Yeah,
first date. That's the best time to find out.
yeah, yeah. So I got one more here, and then we'll call it a day. So this is you know how people are obsessed about their weight?
Yes.
This is can be a problem. My girlfriend, she's not as skinny as she was a few years ago, but she's not fat, and she keeps saying that she's fat. She's always saying she's fat. She tells a coworker she's fat. I say, "You're not fat. It's insane to think you're fat." But she keeps saying this, and she, just brought it up like, all the time about like being fat and wanting to do something about it. And I just don't know what to do about it. She's not fat, and it hurts me to see a beautiful person beat herself up about how she looks when she looks great. What do I do?
oh, you can't fix other people. So this is a hero complex. This is a standard thing
Hmm.
of.
Hmm.
So we talked earlier, and this is good that this came about how women try to change a guy.
Yes.
Men, especially younger men, this is more common. Well, no, that's not true. It happens for older guys too. I see it a lot here. They go, I can
Hmm.
save her. And you create a scenario where you're Superman, right? You go, I can save her from thinking
Yeah.
she's fat or her bad situation or whatever the thing is. And it always goes badly. It never ends well. So you cannot, how can I say this right? You cannot help someone with unsolicited help. So you can, you know how like you have someone who has addiction and then you do one of those like interventions, right?
Interventions. Hmm.
Those work very rarely. People only get better when they make the decision within themselves.
Right.
When they go, I want to get better, whatever it takes. There's this amazing,
Well, I think that was the point of the interventions. Is like my family and friends were all really convinced that I have a problem. Maybe I do have a problem.
yeah, you're trying to trigger rock bottom, but what you actually have to happen. So
Yeah.
there's this really interesting thing. Anthony, the singer from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, he was addicted to H, the worst thing. It's really tough
Okay.
addiction, right?
Okay.
And he was
Yeah.
dying. They get him. He gets into rehab, and they go, "There's 15 of you here. Statistically, one of you will actually get clean." And he looks around the room and he goes,
Yeah.
"For every one of you, I'm taking that spot." That
Yeah.
mindset is the reason 30 years later he's alive and other members of the band aren't. Like that mind,
Yeah.
that's the mindset that gets you out of addiction. Is I want, like, that's such a strong thing to say, right? I don't care. I want that one spot. Only one of us is getting better. I want to be the one.
Yeah. It's going to be me.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's common for people to have deceptions that you think they're deceiving themselves about. We call this sometimes neurosis. A neurosis, being neurotic about something. Being overly concerned about weight is a form of neuroticism, I would say.
So,
And that's not something, as you point out, that you're going to fix for someone else. What you can do is appreciate them, what they are and who they are, and love them. And if she thinks she's overweight, that's her business, what she thinks. Not your
it's
business. Bottom
so
line, it's her business.
there's things that fall into the realm of like a real medical or a real psychological problem. And
Yeah. Yeah,
this,
if she has a wound that's not healing and it's getting worse and she got an infection, then you have to bring her to the ER.
so this is,
But this is
yeah.
just something where you
Well,
just be supportive and nice, and if she thinks what she thinks, it's not your business.
yeah, because like I think that we talk a lot about overweight, but we never talk about underweight. Because I've known women who have, they end up in the hospital, they end up at the doctor. It
Well,
can,
he says she's not fat, but that she's not underweight either. I mean, she's a little.
I don't know, but I'm just
She's
saying
not.
that
She's not fat, but yeah.
I'm
Okay.
saying that to me this falls into the category of like a real issue. So she probably,
Someone who's deceiving themselves about their body
yeah,
image. They
that's
think they're too fat or
yeah,
they're too thin, something like
that's a
that.
there. So
Yeah.
there are people who, and they look at a mirror and what they see is
Like
not what
Karen
other people
Carpenter was
see.
a classic example.
Yeah, so they see something that other people don't see, and that's like a
Yeah.
real therapy. What I mean is that's a real therapy issue. Like that falls.
Yeah, Karen Carpenter saw herself as fat when she was 90 pounds. She died of it
Yeah,
because,
it's like so.
but she still thought she was fat. I mean,
Yeah, but that's what I mean exactly, and it's so hard to understand from the outside because everyone wants to be thin that you don't realize that it's I forget what it's called, like you what, but the thing is what you see is not what other people see. It's a form of delusion, right? Because you don't see reality
yeah,
correctly. So
that's what I say. It's deceptive, really. You're deceiving
you can't
yourself.
force
But
people.
again, it's not my business what my wife thinks about anything. It's her business. And I think it's an important point.
Yeah, so
Whether she
real
wants to vote for Donald Trump or whether she wants to, whatever, that's her business, not mine.
yeah. So either it's not a real problem and you just need to, there's nothing you can do, or it's a real problem and she needs real help. Those are the two choices.
Yeah.
Neither
Yeah.
solution is you saying a set of magic words to make her feel attractive again.
And sometimes when you saying, honey, you probably need therapy, that can come across as an accusation,
Oh,
and that can also get her upset,
of
and so
course.
that can be bad.
That's why you have to wait
You know.
when you need help. You go, listen, I don't know the right thing to say here. If you want a professional, I will support you because this is the thing outside of my skill set. That's the way to say it. But yeah, it's like
Hmm.
the classic sitcom dad's mistake is giving the wife the birthday present of a gym membership. So I'm like, wow, you gave me something cool. It's like, why do you think I need to go to the gym? It's like, and the guy's like, what
Yeah.
happened? The guy goes, what just happened? He doesn't know what he did wrong.
So one thing that I would suggest for you, if this guy, you're I don't know your name, but I took it out. What you could do is you could actually tell her, you say, I'm going to get a little bit of therapy, and she'll say, why? She says, well, because you're always saying you're fat and you're not fat, and I feel like I have a problem with that because I feel really bad when I hear you say that, and I'm going to see a therapist about it. And then you might talk to a therapist a couple times about this because it could help you, be okay with her having these thoughts that you don't agree with. And then it also could stimulate her to maybe seek some therapy to help her with her body image because you're doing it. That's a good way to get somebody into therapy. But you need to help yourself because you're so in such anguish about something that she's thinking that has really nothing to do with you, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is,
It's
depends
not
on,
your business.
is he at the beginning of the relationship or they've been together for a while? Does it say?
They've been together for a while.
Okay. Because if it's early in the relationship, maybe it's like,
They're getting married in 6 months.
oh my gosh, yeah, you have 6 months to get out.
No, I don't think you should get out. But I suggest that you tell her that you talked to a therapist a couple times, and maybe you can get her to do it, and it'll help you deal with the anguish. Because really, what your wife thinks is not your business.
Yeah,
This is very tough for everyone. Think, oh, of course it's my wife. Of course it's my business. No, it's not.
I
It's
have
not your
no,
business.
yeah, like we
It's not.
focus on we focus so much on feelings that we forget actions.
Yeah, it's actions are what count.
And
Behaviors.
like, yeah, so I think that so how about this one? Like,
I think we need.
you want to do one more? Or you
I
done?
think we. No, I think we need to wrap up.
Okay.
Thank you so much. So hit the bell icon, subscribe, whatever platform you're on. We do this every week. If you have a question, send it to just go to getrapidhelp.com and ask Matt, and I will get the question and I'll answer it here. I'll anonymize everything. I'll never say who it was. Maintain all the privacy. So thank you so much. Hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next week.